All right, hello everyone. A live session currently. Let me just waiting for a few more people to join in so you don't miss the beginning. Let's see. All right, perfect. Now we can take things fairly easy. There's not much going on from what I've already seen. Dollar is right now in a consolidation. Now there's a few things going on. I'll wait for Jaeger to connect so I can continue speaking. All right, perfect. How are you doing, Jaeger? What's up? All right, now there's a few things going on with the dollar. If you take a look at the economic calendar, today we have some USD news, but tomorrow there is a higher impact news on FOMC. So if the dollar stays in this consolidation right here, then I would expect tomorrow to be a consolidation as well, and we break out of that consolidation on Wednesday later in the day during FOMC. So that is something to take into account for the US dollar pairs as well. Now, what I don't like about the dollar is that it closed fairly high, and right here it is hovering just in the middle of nowhere. It is not above the previous week high, and it is not below this previous day low. So we have nothing to work with, aka we are a little bit at equilibrium on the lower time frame. If there is nothing on the higher time frame for us to get involved, then right here you would get chopped up on the lower time frame. That's just how it is. And on the 4-hour as well, right? Like I said in the higher time frame review as well, there is no fair value gap created. This low isn't protected just yet. No fair value gap created. It's just consolidating right now. It could be consolidating ahead of FOMC. That's perfectly fine. So then you would take a look at the crosses and not at the dollar pairs. So if we take a look, I have a few pairs I wanted to go over. I added a few as well that I saw in the Discord. I saw Len talking about this one. Pretty clean, because right here we had this order block and we had a sweep of the lows. Then now we have a big rejection right here. And we had this morning, we had Australian dollar news. So when we have Australian dollar news, that is obviously indicating, all right, there's volatility today in the market for Australian dollar. So this day could likely expand higher if it does want to do that. Now, how can we actually get involved right there? First off, if we break this high or this high, then this right here would become a breaker. This right here would become an order block, obviously. So that is two discount arrays we can take a look at on the 4-hour. And when we trade back into those discount arrays, that is something to take a look at. Now, obviously, we haven't reached an opposite premium array on the daily yet. So we could look at the 15-minute, but just keep in mind the 15-minute right now. The thing I don't like, I need to get involved very high. So my entry pattern has already been down here, and now I need to chase price in a way. And that's something I do not like to do. So then I would wait for the 4-hour and 4-hour new discount array being created, and then look at a 5-minute entry. So that is, again, that's waiting. There's nothing there currently. GBP Canadian dollar, we have swept the previous day low right here. Right there. Then on the 15-minute, there was some signs of sort of ST, but nothing respected yet. So no order flow here was respected just yet. Again, we could still come into this breaker, this fair value gap, and then continue higher. Now, if I take a look at the economic calendar, in about 2 hours and 11 minutes, we have GBP news. I think we had Canadian dollar news as well this week, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look. Maybe I don't have showing. I don't see Canadian dollar news just yet. All right, but GBP news would be fine. Would be fine. So in about 2 hours, GBP news, see if that creates some volatility in the market. Would be nice, of course, for GBP pairs. USD JPY, we just swept the previous week high, and we are sweeping it as in we are not closing above it. And on a daily and a weekly basis, you can see, obviously, we haven't closed above it yet. Now, a previous week high would be a 1 hour entry for me. As you can see, we already have an ST right here. And this is also a BPR in this case. Then we have a breaker. So if one of those right here, if we displace lower as in if we now create a fair value gap, a bearish fair value gap in this leg lower, then the next retracement, this right here is where I would want to get involved. That right there. And then I would target the lows. So if that happens, I would love to get involved. So my main focus right now would be on GBP Canadian dollar, USD JPY, because it's a 1 hour trade. So it will take a while to form. This could take the whole day to form right there. If that happens, I would like to get involved. This again also takes a while to form. Now, ES right here, it is a little bit floating in the middle, just like the dollar itself. Again, we did come off of this daily breaker, daily fair value gap, which was pretty clean. But then right here, it's stalling a little bit. And as you may know, I would not want to get involved in ES on the in the London session, because it's just not very volatile. So I would rather look at what I always did. I would rather look at DAX. And DAX is very volatile coming into 3 a.m. So you can expect a lot of volatility, but DAX has a tendency to consolidate a lot. And that's not nice. So that's why I'm not looking at it currently. All right, AU as well. We are not close to that high just yet. Not close to the previous day high. I was talking about these highs potentially getting swept and then seeing a move lower. Again, we are currently not close to it, so it's still playing the waiting game, essentially. Euro, New Zealand dollar, this is still got my eyes on it right here. Potential previous day high sweep into this daily fair value gap, into the daily order block as well. So that is interesting to take a look at. But again, it's not even closed just yet. Now we do have today we have an ECB speech in about 50 minutes for the euro. So that is interesting. We have a PMI euro news. Then we have some US dollar news. But again, will that US dollar news be impactful or not? That is something we have to wait for, because we have FOMC tomorrow. So then what you will see is for the US dollar, you will see the volatility come into the market during FOMC. And then Thursday will likely be the better day to trade. And it might even be Friday. All right, then EU, again, same thing, right? We demanded something off of price right here, come into this daily fair value gap, and then potentially drop off. Now, same thing. It might just be consolidating right here, and it's a bit in the middle, so don't get caught up in price action right here. Wait for your demands to be met. So wait for that premium to be reached, maybe during FOMC. This might happen, and then a continuation lower. We need to wait for that, because obviously I don't have to tell you that this isn't where you want to get involved, right? You want to wait for either a good discount rate or a good premium rate, and you don't want to get caught up in the middle, because you are maybe feeling the urge to trade today, or you feel the urge to get rewarded and make money, and that's a very detrimental feeling. Now, so either wait for this low or even this low, the previous week low, and then target the premium, or the premium and then target the discount. So it's either one of those twos. All right, GU right here, nothing clean, same story. nothing clean. This order block might hold, but again, it is not something I would want to get involved in. It's not something I would. I always like to ask myself, if I had if I was managing a $10 million account, would I want to get involved right there? Probably not, right? So why not just wait? All right, so if we take a look at the dollar as well, if this is expense, then that changes the whole narrative, because then what I would expect is later on in the week, we might see something like this. If it expands during Tuesday and Wednesday, then we might see something like a previous week high sweep into this order block, or even into this fair value gap, this weekly fair value gap that's sitting right there, and then seeing some switch of order flow, etc., and then potentially going lower. Now, that is of course all speculation, so we have to react with the day. Currently, there is just nothing much going on. And of course, if you do have a pair that you want me to take a look at, then we have the time to take a look at it, because there's not much going on. Morning, good morning, good morning. PPI today, yellow letter for Canadian dollar. Oh yeah, okay. All right, so there's some Canadian dollar news. All right, interesting. Let me take a look. Euro JPY sell off daily CB. Let me take a look. Euro JPY. This is came into this weekly, to this weekly mitigation block. I personally wouldn't want to see a sell off of this, because we are now expanding higher off of this right here. This is also an ST right here, going off of some form of weekly fair value gap, weekly mitigation block. The thing I don't like about this, it would have been a nice trade, but the thing I don't like about this is that we already came into this. Let me remove the line right there. We already came into this fair value gap right there. So yeah, that's I don't like that, and I don't like that it's not current order flow, as in right here. If I were to take a sell and we were right here, then I wouldn't expect price to come all the way here and then close above this high and then continue lower. That would not be in my order flow schedule, in a sense. So what I always think, last line of defense, first line of defense. All right, first line of defense would be this fair value gap. Then we have an overlapping order block right here, so that would be interesting to me. Then the last line of defense would be this high. If we sweep the high, and either this, or something along the lines of this. So when this happens, I wouldn't be interested in the ID. Of course, it can play out, but I personally wouldn't really be interested. I would be looking at another pair potentially. But if I was to get involved, and I'll look at an entry pattern, if there is an entry pattern right here, then it's the same story that we have on USD JPY currently. Right here, we have an ST. This is your ST. So here we have the fair value gap that we're coming into. ST, busy, SIBI, perfect. Here we are trying, it looks like we are respecting it. There was no displacement lower just yet, so order flow wasn't confirmed yet. We only had the ST. Of course, you can enter on an ST, but just keeping in mind that your win rate, etc., you might take some more losses. Then right here, we are hopefully and maybe displacing lower in the form of a new fair value gap created. Once we create that new fair value gap, then that right there could be an entry. Now, as in the target, I like to zoom out a little bit and then just take a look at what stands out to me, and that is my low-hanging fruit. So the first thing that stands out to me is this fair value gap and that fair value gap. Those are the two things that stands out, and those are the first targets, right? So low-hanging fruits, and then you would go on to the daily because you're entering off of a daily premium ray, and then this low could potentially be the next target. Oh, not that low. Would you consider yesterday on ES as a seek and destroy? A zero didn't do a sweep, but just sort for buys the liquidity, then took SSL. Got a bounce off an ST, but no real direction the rest of the day. Let me take a look. I had it here. Oh, I can see what you're saying now. Yeah. 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 This is low time frame. Yeah. Yeah. I would consider this on the low time frame for sure as an ST. So if you're entering off of this daily, right here, if you were entering off the daily fair value gap in the first time, first off, I wouldn't even be looking for entries right here on this Monday because we had no impact news on Monday. So there was nothing really driving price, just equities open in itself, but that's not really that interesting, I would say. Then if you drop into the 15-minute, this is just, yeah, this is a mess. This is an absolute mess. Now, the thing is, again, that leads me back to the FOMC story, right? Could be consolidating ahead of FOMC. FOMC might do the opposite move first and then the real move. That is something we can take into account. And then we would like to trade on Thursday and maybe even Friday if the volatility is slow today and tomorrow. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. No worry, Manuel. Got you. All right. So, and this is what you'll see me do the most of the time. Oh, this is interesting. All right, now this is interesting. We have a breaker to work with and a potential order block in the making right here to work with. But again, this requires patience. This might not even happen today. So this requires patience to look at as well. All right. And like I was saying, this is what you'll see most of the time in trading. Just waiting, playing the waiting game. And currently, just to not interpret it the wrong way, I am looking at multiple pairs because I don't have a clear execution right now, and I'm still waiting on a few pairs to form, etc. And they will likely not form in this London session. So that is why I'm looking at multiple pairs. If I was to actually trade and I found a pair that I truly liked and that could set up something in this London session, then I would only look at one pair, obviously. Then I would only execute on that one pair and focus on that one pair. But because there's nothing right now that is clear or that is even close to clear, then I will take a look at multiple pairs just for the analysis sake, just to practice analysis a little bit. EU again, yeah, it's just playing the waiting game. GBP, Canadian dollar. This could be interesting, right? That we sting into this fair value gap right here, into this breaker as well during news. So that is in a few minutes. We have in 2 hours. So that's not a few minutes. That's still takes a while, but in 2 hours we have GBP news. Could sting into that beforehand. If it stings into it beforehand, then right here. If it stings into this beforehand and we already get a displacement in the form of an ST, in the form of a re, then this could already be your entry before the news event actually happens. Now, if the news event hasn't happened yet and we haven't sting into the discount array, then news will likely do something like this, and that will create the ST and the re. And then obviously the re will likely be somewhere in New York. So something along the lines of this, right? But waiting for that discount array first before getting involved, not feeling the fear of missing out once it's trading like this, for example. It could create an ST right here and go higher. I don't care because I have my set of rules. I have a few guidelines that I want to stick to. First is the higher time frame, and then I move into the lower time frame because the higher time frame creates my bias. The lower time frame doesn't create my bias. The lower time frame is only for me to get involved. And that's very important. Let's take a look at some more pairs and see if there's something interesting going on in one of the pairs. Again, this is not something you want to get involved in. And this is where a lot of people, they will make money in this run. This is pretty clean, right? Pretty clean run. And when this comes, they will blow all their profit. And that is very relatable because I've also been there. But then risk management is important, and knowing the conditions that your model is doing well in is very important. And right here, forcing things, and especially when you only trade the Dow, for example, then it is very easy to start overthinking, and to potentially start overthinking, do I even know how to trade anymore? Do I even know how to do this anymore? Then that is something that can absolutely mess you up. USD is something previous day high sweep, 15-minute ST plus re. All right, let me take a look. All right, yeah, clean. Pretty clean thus far. So we had the previous day high sweep right here on the daily. There it is. Then I'm still waiting for the 1 hour, just because it's also previous week high monthly SIBI. So I would want a little bit more confirmation and not just 15-minute. But you can obviously, you don't have to do what I do. So you can take this trade for sure. Oh, not financial advice. Don't sue me if you take a loss. Right here we have this ST. So we have a busy SIBI coming above previous day high. So there's momentum going above previous day high, SIBI going out of it. All right, perfect. Then we have a little displacement here. Then right here, London starts. So this comes into this fair value gap right here. Is this a fair value gap? Yes, that is a fair value gap. Then right here, we could create an order block, and right here could create an order block. This could already, and that's sometimes I like to do this. When this happens, essentially we are coming back into the ST. Now the only thing I need is a new fair value gap for me to have that re-entry. So sometimes I like to already take the entry when the fair value gap is closed. So when the fair value gap is closed, I would already take the entry. And right here, I would just cover this order block right here. Just give it some room to breathe. No worries. On the 15-minute, again, eyeballing it a little bit. That would be my target on the 15-minute. Right there, we have a little fair value gap. Of course, it has been sting into, but this liquidity, essentially right here, everything has been rebalanced. So it's not rebalancing something in here. So then it's taking liquidity. So that could be a target right there. We'll just leave it like that as well. Keeping in mind the 1 hour, I would currently, I didn't enter this. So just so you know, we obviously right here, just a paper, but I would wait for the 1 hour. But that's just me. If you prefer the 15 minutes right here, that's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. As well, these equal lows, right? These equal lows and even more relatively equal lows hovering above this this daily fair value gap. Now, the thing is, what I like about this is when I started the week, I was already pretty clear on what I wanted to see on USDJPY. So I either wanted to see this premium that we just got, or this discount and then target premium. So either premium target discount or discount target premium. And that is what we got so far. Now, of course, we need to get involved somehow. So that is interesting. But I do like it, as in I could already create fairly easily a story at the beginning of the week, and it didn't take me a lot of stuff to force it. So it's very easy. High probability conditions are very easy to follow along. We just need to find those high probability conditions, of course. All right, so this is something we can take a look at. If you want, you can also, no need to enter, but just put it on your chart right here. And we can study it for the rest of the day, because obviously this will not hit take profit in London. Most likely it will take a while. All right, perfect. ES is just coming storming down. It wouldn't surprise me if ES sweeps this Monday low just one more time and then continues higher. So something along the lines of this wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all, because we don't have displacement in this leg up. This is not a protected low just yet. And so that wouldn't surprise me. Even if it does this on FOMC, wouldn't surprise me. All right. Again, this might create an ST already, or already a re, but I wouldn't want to get involved right here. I would want to, as 100%, wait on the 4-hour discount rate that we demanded. We demanded something of a price, and then you wait for that. You would have to have the discipline to wait for it, and just wait for what you demanded of price to actually deliver. And if it doesn't deliver, it is already indicating that you are now trading in low probability conditions, because if you are trying to trade something that you didn't demand of a price, then your whole thinking changes, right? Because you now have to adapt, you have to do other stuff that you didn't plan on. So that is obviously, we still have to react, but react in some sort of day or some sort of way that doesn't change the core of your whole trading plan as to how you planned it out for that day. So for example, right here, we came into that USD JPY into the premium, right? But into the previous week high. Now, obviously right here, I still react because I didn't know if it came for this discount first or for that premium. So then I still react, but the ID is still the same, because I was still expecting either the premium first or either the discount first, and then look for some sort of entry pattern, etc. So the ID is still the same. Right here, the whole ID is not the same, because we didn't expect it to just come here and then maybe potentially go higher. And a lot of people would get trapped in a sense right here by just seeing this liquidity and then thinking, all right, now it's going higher. And that is creating a bias on the lower time frame. And that is not what the lower time frame is for, in my opinion, unless you are trading a few ticks, a few pips, or whatever, then you could do it, but it's just not the highest probability. So right here, not something to get involved in, because I would want to wait for the discount. But right here on the 5-minute, I would expect something like this, and potentially this move down happening in 2 hours time when there is GBP news. So that's something to take a look at. But I wouldn't want to get involved either in this sell or in this buy currently. Then you're, again, same as the dollar, same as EU, then you're stuck in the middle right now. So wait for the discount or either a very high premium. Now, the thing is, we are in very low discount right now. So if we can reach that and then get an entry pattern, it would be a great opportunity for us to get involved. All right, this is immediately retracing. I wouldn't want to get involved right here and look for a 5-minute. Absolutely not. Not something I would be interested in. It could still come into this fair value gap, right? Could still retrace into this fair value gap and then potentially continue higher. Something to take into account. Let me see. DAX right here. DAX. DAX just hasn't been very clean the past few weeks. USD Canadian dollar, same story, right? We have been talking about this the past week. This was for a video. Then right here, it is still stuck between two PD rays. So this is the definition of seek and destroy conditions right here. We have no liquidity to the downside, actually, and no liquidity to the upside right here. Of course, we have these equal highs, equal lows, but in the middle, there is nothing. So in the middle, you will see liquidity getting generated right there. And then is when you will see these conditions. And again, this these conditions they are fine. They are not a bad thing. So you don't have to blame price action for, oh, it's so shit, it's so shit. It is just only when you are reliant on that pair, then a lot of people will blame price action. Then a lot of people will have psychology errors, etc. And that is the detrimental thing, because then you will eventually start the cycle and start the pattern that we will touch on in psychology, because, well, you will start a pattern where you start to doubt yourself. You don't know how to trade. You think you've lost it all, or you just somehow magically forgot how to trade. And then next thing you know, you are on Twitter and there's some guy saying turtle soups are the best. And you're now like, oh, maybe I need turtle soups in my life. And you don't need it, believe me. All right, so yeah, just seeking short conditions. And this is something I would not even do an analysis on this. And why not? Because it also affects your psychology, right? If you're doing an analysis, of course, we have to distance ourselves from the outcome of that analysis, but it will still always take a little bit of your psychology when it's wrong, when it's right, etc. So just not doing an analysis in low probability conditions will help you as well, because it sort of protects your ego. And the odds of being wrong in this space right here when doing analysis is way higher, obviously. So it's just saving those brain points, saving that mental capacity. USD CHF, we had this daily order block, which was pretty nice, but we did have this weekly fair value gap and overlapping with this daily order block. Not sure what happened right there. So this is not something, again, I can already tell this is something I can make a bullish argument and I can make a bearish argument for it. So that's 50-50. That's already automatically a low probability condition. This is just waiting right here. This is just what happens a lot, right? I would just wait right here, maybe even potentially walk away, just set an alert right here. If it does want to continue lower, then set an alert. If it's right here, it would likely have a new displacement, a new premium rate to work with. When we have a new displacement here, a new premium rate to work with, this displacement, if this new leg now displaces, then I would go break even. So that is something, obviously, we still have to apply risk management, etc. So that is something to take into account. All right. Bitcoin. Hey, Bitcoin has been finally going higher right here. Again, Bitcoin is a bit the same as DAX, obviously still a bit different characteristics, but Bitcoin and DAX, when they are expanding, they have a huge consolidation afterwards. Like it's just for a couple of weeks or so, there's just a consolidation, like visually the definition, a picture perfect consolidation, if that makes sense. So right here, still the monthly, right? Still expecting higher prices for it to reach up into this SIBI. Once it reaches this, I'm not sure what it wants to do. I would have to take a look at the 4-hour potentially to get a bias, etc. And wait for a candle close on a monthly potentially. And could even do this, right? Could even do that. So on the 4-hour right here, consolidation, if it does want to go higher, where can it go higher from? Well, we have this high. Is this high overlapping with the fair value gap? No. All right, so if we create a 4-hour fair value gap right here, it could do something along the lines of this right here. Now you can see how this consolidation is less confusing to me, because there is an even higher time frame bias and narrative already established. So the consolidation becomes less confusing, and there's some more probability that the monthly will play out and that this low will not get taken. Of course, isn't set in stone, but there's more probability because the higher time frame, the monthly, is supporting the idea of potentially going higher. And especially when it's perfectly past few weeks, monthly has been hovering above this open of the weekly fair value gap. So that is perfect candle signs. All right, so this is potentially something to take a look at if you're interested in it. Now, if you move on to the crosses right here, a lot of crosses, right? I have something marked out here on Canadian dollar JPY. Not sure what it is. Is it a monthly? A monthly SIBI. A monthly SIBI. I did see this daily fair value gap right here. But it's a bit of the same story as some other pairs. We already came into it right here. I would want this move to happen on a Tuesday or in a London session. Of course, very ideal, but I would want it to happen there. Of course, the next day, this is known as your reversal day. So you can see Friday is not actually expanding. It has the candle signs, as in the rejection. And this on the lower time frame is already a displacement. So this next day, that is where you can potentially scout for 15-minute entries. Now, we didn't have news on Monday, so that is not something I would want to get involved in. But that is the main premise behind it, and that is how we could take a look at that. CHF, JPY. Yeah, I don't like this when it's just having new all-time highs. I just don't like it. It's absolutely awful because I always have the feeling that I'm either calling the top right here or I'm chasing price. And then I would, of course, if it does want to continue higher, it will likely continue higher off of some form of daily fair value gap, either here or here, and continue higher off of that. But again, feels like I'm either calling the top or I'm chasing price. Euro Australian dollar. This was pretty clean, this pair, but it is just turned into an absolute mess the past week and this week as well. So it might need some news to spike out of it. Now, of course, it's interesting to take a look at what it can reach for when it does spike out of it. We have this weekly order block still. We do have a sting into this weekly fair value gap right there. Is there something on a monthly? Keeping in mind that we do have a monthly fair value gap right there sitting below the weekly fair value gap. Or not below, just at the bottom of the weekly order block, sorry. So that is something to take into account. All right. So it could potentially, again, these highs are not protected just yet because there's no displacement lower. So this could do something like this maybe. Again, pretty 50-50 from my side currently. Euro, Canadian dollar. We have this weekly order block that we're now coming into. All right, we are sweeping this low thus far. We are not closing below. On the 1 hour, what does it look like? So, is there a fair value gap right here? No. Fair value gap right here. So we have with a very late fair value gap. This is the first fair value gap. Then this could potentially be a re, but again, it's not a beautiful re. What's on the 4 hour? This is breaker. So ideally, if it does want to continue higher, I would still expect it to go higher right here off this breaker. Did we sweep? Yeah, we swept previous day low. So potentially higher prices off of here could be interesting. Now, right here, we came into London. We had, I imagine that previous day low was right here. Then this right here is already your ST. This is already your re. But just keeping in mind, of course, we are trading kill zones. So London, wait for London to happen. Right here, a little move lower. This could already be your entry. Just either this high or take this order block right here. Or wait for fair value gap to be created. This could be your entry. So then I would expect something along the lines of this target. We have a lot of liquidity and equal highs at the top. So that is nice. That's very, very nice. So that could be a potential entry. Let's just for the sake of it, let's take a look at it and see how we could manage our risk potentially. Stop loss would be below this low for me. And if it takes that low, then it will likely also take that low. So then the whole idea would be wrong in a sense. Target, I would just target these equal highs. That's already 2R. That's perfectly fine for me. And that is just also precautions, right? Because if I'm aiming for this high, all right, we get some more RR. But what if it takes this high and then just reverses to my break even, and then I will be a little bit sad, right? Euro CHF, Euro GBP. Still have that weekly fair value gap sitting right there, but to say it is going higher right here, I'm not too sure, because we had this breaker, we had some nice displacement to the upside, but didn't follow through. Euro JPY, this is the one. All right, nice. Euro New Zealand dollar, same thing. GBP Australian dollar, consolidating, same thing as Euro Australian dollar. GBP New Zealand dollar. This daily fair value gap overlapping with this order block could be nice. New Zealand dollar CHF, New Zealand dollar JPY. It's fairly high, and that's what I don't like, right? I like when price is right here, for example, and just coming out of a discount array. So these days are still where you can get involved, but right now we are very high. We are above the previous short-term high. So to still chase price right here, it's not something I would want to do. And that's where you will notice a lot of losses happening, because you're just creating a bias and creating something on a 15-minute that's potentially not even there. New Zealand dollar USD, it has been in some sort of consolidation now. Obviously, the same as Australian dollar USD, it swept the previous month high right here, or did it actually sweep it? Yeah, it did sweep it. All right. Then right here, we could still expect lower prices, but it's not that clean to me, because it's been in more of a consolidation. Now, obviously, if we do continue lower, I would expect it to reach for these equal lows right there. Potentially off of this BPR. Right there. Or the fair value gap. The BPR is very small right there. So might just come into the fair value gap and then continue lower. We do have New Zealand dollar news tomorrow on Wednesday. So that could be interesting. The move could happen tomorrow. Right there. GJ. Let's take a look. Could be heading towards this civvy, right? Right there. And how do we get involved? In the weekly, we have some sort of order block sitting right there. Then on the daily, we have daily fair value gaps, daily order blocks right there. Hovering again a little bit in the middle right here, right? So either wait for a clear discount right here, or a clear premium in the form of this monthly civvy. 4 hour, no. These are equal lows in my eyes. Again, no displacement higher. So I would want to see this for sure, and then continue higher. All right, let's do a little update. What are the pairs looking like? Australian dollar CHF, is it heading towards that? All right, this could be interesting still, or this could be nice still, because we still have this 4 hour fair value gap, so it's something to take into account. GB Canadian dollar, just waiting for it to reach this, waiting. Again, we have news in about 1 hour and 30 minutes. USD JPY. All right, it's starting to displace a little bit right here. Again, I would not be looking at this chart if I was actually in it, etc. I would just sort of walk away, but not walk away to fix my psychology, but walk away because staring at this chart won't help me and it won't move price faster. So just doing something else on the side, or yeah, just basically doing something else. ES, nothing clear. You could say these lows, but again, you're creating a bias on the 15-minute, and that's not what I would want to see. AU, still waiting for those highs right there. Still waiting. Most of them are just waiting, and you can see the waiting and the hard work. Again, the waiting and the hard work is always done on the higher time frame. The lower time frame, we can get involved fairly easily and then just essentially reward ourselves. But all the waiting is done on the higher time frame, and that's what makes the model so cool, right? And so powerful, because that's how we have such a high win rate, such a high return. So that's pretty awesome. But again, you will have to work for it, as in you have to be patient. And normally when you are patient, that's where most people will fuck up. Australian dollar, yeah, same thing. And right now you can probably notice I am going over a few pairs at the same time, constantly looking over them, constantly watching them, constantly switching through pairs. That is the time, if you don't notice it, that is a time when eventually you will start to force something. So if you are constantly hopping through pairs and your mind starts to overthink, and then it thinks, all right, what if I just go into the 1 minute right here? Oh, this is looking so clean. And then you're just looking like this, and you're just entering, and you might take a loss, and then you're in this cycle, right? Something like that would happen. What is it actually? Is it 3 a.m.? 3 a.m. So 3 a.m. open right now, you'll see some more volatility, as this is the actual London open. We had Frankfurt have it in the first hour. Now it's actual London open. So some more volatility into the market, which is nice. We might have something to work with. Especially GBP pairs, right, will be more affected by this. And the beautiful pair. I always love DAX, but DAX has a lot of volatility in a London session. So if you're trading indices and you would like to take a look at some indices during London, then I would always advise looking at DAX. All right. Again, if this continues lower, EU right here, or if dollar just continues higher, then there is likely nothing to do today. And we might have to wait for FOMC to happen tomorrow, and then after that, get involved. So if you are planning on trading tomorrow, I would look at the news drivers again. So there is some Australian dollar news, some New Zealand dollar news, some euro, and some GBP. So then I would want to look at the crosses that involve those news drivers. So that could be euro, New Zealand dollar. Oh, we have one sitting right here, which is pretty clean. So tomorrow, euro, New Zealand dollar might be tradable inside the London session. So that's something we can take a look at. And for example, GBP Australian dollar. Now, GBP Australian dollar, we just took a look. It wasn't very clean. So that's not something I would want to get involved in. We first take a look at news drivers and then see, does price action agree? Right here, euro, New Zealand dollar, yes, price action agrees, because we have a news driver tomorrow for New Zealand dollar, and we have a price action agreeing right here. So that could indicate maybe Wednesday a high of the week, and then continuation lower. All right. USD JPY, it's now right here rejecting a little bit. All right, and this is also not something I would do, right? I would not be looking at this constantly and thinking, all right, it's now rejecting here, it's now rejecting here. I would absolutely start to overthink, and I would absolutely start to the odds of me messing up then, because I'm constantly looking at the chart, what's happening now, the odds of me messing up my risk management are way higher. And I'm asking to mess up, and course, that's not what we want right here. So this is just as well waiting, a lot of waiting. All right, let me just take a look and update a few pairs, and then if you have questions, then let me know to take a look at a few pairs, but then I'll end it here because now we're just scrolling through pairs continuously. So, and it's also trading is freedom. So right here, we can already see likely nothing else will set up in London session. So maybe set your alerts and go do something else. And that's why it's important to do something else as well. Otherwise you will force a trade and it will likely not end well. All right, let me take a look right here on a few more pairs. Yeah, all right. This is just waiting right now. So again, just ending it on a little dollar note, because that's obviously the most important one. I believe the dollar. Tomorrow we have FOMC in the afternoon. So keep that in mind. If this day is consolidating today, then I would not want to get involved tomorrow on any US dollar pair. And I would want to wait to get involved in US dollar pairs. I would want to wait for Thursday and potentially Friday. And then tomorrow I would look at a cross. And by looking at the crosses, I would look at the news drivers first. We have New Zealand dollar, we have GBP, we have Australian dollar a little bit, and we have euro. So then I would want to see, all right, in these news drivers, is there a pair with these currencies that is pretty clean on the price action? So euro, New Zealand dollar is one of them, and I might have missed a few. So then I would take a look at them as well. All right, so that is it for the dollar. Again, if the dollar first expands higher, then we could see lower prices the rest of the week. So that's just something to keep in mind. Of course, dollar a little bit 50-50 right here in this situation. If it first comes into this, then I would expect higher prices, but it's 50-50. And I think we might have to wait for FOMC right here to get involved on something that is involved with the dollar. So that is all the majors right here. All right, I want to thank you all, and I'll update you in the Discord, and let's see if we can do another call tomorrow. Let's see if we can try to see if we can potentially catch some euro New Zealand dollar sells. All right, thank you everyone.